Live on a Wednesday. It's the 28th of May. Welcome inside the vault for a Ravens lunch hour live stream. I am Bobby Trossett. She is fresh off a dental appointment, and that is Sarah Ellison. Toughing this episode out. Great to see you, partner, and great to have all of you back with us here inside the show. On your way in, if you could please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of when we drop our daily live content. OTAs is underway in Baltimore this week, Sarah. We know this. There will be a press conference coming up later this afternoon at 2:30 Eastern. You and I will react to that accordingly coming up on Thursday's show. The great news that was yesterday, though, is what we'll address right off the top in terms of attendance, in terms of why the vibes are so high right now as one of the key off-season marks. Right, this is a benchmark as you get ready for the upcoming season. So we'll tell you what that great news is and why it's significant. After that, Ryan Clark of ESPN pulled no punches on DeAndre Hopkins. He was asked a question that essentially pinned Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson against one another. Spoiler shock. That's happened quite a bit over the last year or so, Sarah, and it will continue. Mina Kimes gave her X factor from a defensive perspective for Baltimore. That was an interesting one. He's a new player, hint, hint. The AFC North plot drama continues to thicken, and many more, including one more thing from me on the back end. So I look forward to it. How the heck are you feeling before we get in?
It's crazy. So hopefully I'm not slurring too much or whatever. I'm definitely numb. My appointment was supposed to start at 9:30. I kept texting you updates, and they didn't really start the process until 11:07. And so I let my dentist know. And we're in the middle. I'm in the chair, and the notification on YouTube said the vault is starting in 30 minutes. So I showed it to my dentist and I was like, can we get this done? So I'm in the second phase of a tooth implant, which takes the whole process takes anywhere from 9 months to a year. And they basically just drilled a massive hole into my jawbone. And it was not fun. So I'm just straight out of the dentist chair. But I know what we're talking about. I'm ready to go. I just hope that my lips and my tongue and all this numbness can keep up. And I hope I don't spit on my microphone while we're doing this.
You're a workhorse. You're a total workhorse. For whatever reason, you and I have been walloped by dental care this offseason. I don't know what has taken place. I myself have gotten a crown. I've gotten a root canal. You just had something drilled. You literally just had a tool drill into your gums, like you mentioned. So
yeah, the bone, the jawbone, through the gums into the jawbone.
Excuse me. Okay, into the jawbone. So yeah, if Sarah starts to go loopy a little bit here over the next hour, you guys have a pretty darn good excuse here. But thank you for making yourself available, and thanks to your dentist for kicking it into high gear. I mean, it was
they had an emergency. That's why I was so late. He came in. He's like, "I'm so sorry, we had an emergency." I mean, I was sitting there for a good hour and 15 minutes waiting to start. So it's crazy.
Gotcha. Well, you're here now, and we're glad. You just let us know if you need to take a swig of water, take a break over there. It's still the numbness, I'm sure, is still making its way down. So just let us know, and we will move forward. That's exactly what the Ravens are doing here at the first session of several organized team activities, Sarah, this offseason. These are voluntary sessions, and yet take a look at the attendance lists, most notably right here, as Jonas Schaefer of the Baltimore Banner kind of compiled as one of the beat reporters out there this week with access. Derrick Henry leads the way, 31 years old, year 2 with Baltimore. He's been in the league for close to a decade, maybe over a decade at this point. Forget off the top of my mind what year he was drafted, but it's been a long time. The King is in Baltimore. Sarah just kind of speaks to yesterday's theme, which was sort of the accountability that he brought to Baltimore, the professionalism, and everything else in between. Zay Flowers, of course, fresh off of his new representation change. He goes to Go Win Sports after the first couple of years being with LAA Sports. He's got 2 more years left under his rookie deal. We'll see what happens with that. And if he continues to stack, like you said yesterday, after 3 years, wide receivers do become extension eligible. You'd have to think that if he continues to put forth the productivity that he has through his first 2 seasons, that he'll be high atop Eric DeCosta's priority list. Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely, both tight ends that are entering contract years. We know what Mark's offseason has sort of consisted of when it comes to rumors and conversation and dialogue. He is there. His presence, I'm sure, has been felt. Isaiah Likely is there. Ronnie Stanley, fresh off his extension, is there. Nnamdi Madubuike is present. Travis Jones, who quietly is entering a contract year, is there. Nate Wiggins, second-year player, is present. And Cheeto Awuzie, Sarah, the free agent acquisition that's going to replace Brandon Stevens, is in Baltimore for OTAs. This is Jonas's notable list, and notable is it very much so.
Yeah, and so obviously it should be mentioned, Jonas was not at practice yesterday. It was not open to the media. However, the Ravens released a video that kind of showed highlights of DeAndre Hopkins, which we'll talk about here in a second. And so there might have been more guys there, and we don't know exactly who's missing. Just because they weren't on this list doesn't mean they weren't there. This was Jonas looking at that video and taking screen grabs of who was there. And so this screen grab right here, Nate Wiggins looks like he's been in the weight room over the offseason. So good to see him and just bulking up. And, you know, he's already speedy. We already know that, but he's obviously been in the weight room. Good for Nate Wiggins. And so where Jonas was getting the rest of these, well, obviously there's DeAndre, which is very good. We'll talk about in a minute why he and Cheeto are, it's very good that they're there and why it's good news. And, but he saw, look in the background, there's Derrick Henry. I was a little surprised to see Derrick Henry day one. I thought he might take a minute. He has a great workout on his own in Texas. But as we spoke yesterday, as the leader that he is, the accountability he's holding the team and the professionalism, I guess I shouldn't have been surprised. But there you see Ronnie Stanley in the left-hand side. There's all the tight ends, including Mark Andrews, Likely and Kolar, as you named. You can see in the background Travis Jones and Matabike. So that's kind of where he's getting the list. Who knows who else is there? Who knows who's missing? I'm guessing if Lamar was there, the Ravens would have put out a picture. That's usually what they do, him coming in from the parking lot. So I don't know for sure he wasn't there, but I would have guessed they would have shown that for sure. So very good news, though, Bobby. We said yesterday, we said, who is it important that's there? Obviously, all the young guys. We want all the young guys there. Who else is important for them to be there? I really don't think the veterans with two returning coordinators, I think the veterans can cycle through, which is what I'm assuming they're doing. A lot of times the veterans will take turns. There's 3 weeks of voluntary OTAs, and you'll see like a rotation of veterans to kind of like lead the group. And right now, it's like Mark Andrews. It's Ronnie Stanley. It's Derrick Henry. It's Nnamdi Madubuike. They might cycle out with other ones coming in. We'll see. I anticipate if Lamar's not there, he will be there for maybe one of those 3 weeks. But I absolutely wanted to see DeAndre Hopkins and Cheeto Awuzie because they're new and they need the reps. They need the reps in order to pick up the new defense that they're joining for Cheeto and the new offense that DeAndre Hopkins is picking up with Todd Monken. It will be nice if we can get Lamar and DeAndre there together at some point. But right now, it's this group of people that needs the reps as they're learning either the NFL as a young guy, trying to take the next step as a young guy, or trying to pick up a new offense and defense as a newly signed veteran. So very good news in my book that Cheeto and DeAndre are there day one.
Yeah, and speaking of Cheeto, Mina Kimes, ESPN analyst, putting an awfully important value on him, knowing what he's walking into, knowing the player that had the target on his back that he's looking to replace from a year ago, and Brandon Stevens, who of course left in free agency to go to New York, and maybe most importantly, knowing the types of quarterbacks that are going to be picking on him, should he be the weak link, if you will, in what is otherwise on paper a stacked Ravens secondary. Mina talked about it, had a little breakdown here, was going team by team in terms of X factors. Mm-hmm. And this is where she began.
Chidobe Awuzie, who is the second corner. Really the same logic. I talked about how the Bills constantly got attacked. We know who it's Brandon Stevens, talking about Brandon Stevens, who was kind of the boogeyman of the Ravens season. Partly, by the way, the reason why I'm picking Awuzie is, and I don't think I've talked about this enough, Nate Wiggins was really good last year as a rookie. He had some ups and downs, I think particularly at the beginning of the season, and maybe that's kind of why his play in the second half of the season kind of slipped under the radar a little bit because he had he gave up some big plays early on. But I thought by the end of the year, he looked incredibly comfortable, really good scheme fit. You see why, I mean, it's shocking, right? The Ravens drafted him for a reason, but I thought, really good sense of when to play plays on the ball, really good closing speed and recovery speed, uses his length well. I thought his size was not an issue in a way that I thought it might be. So you feel good. And by the way, the Met stats on him, the coverage stats are amazing. Now, again, it's a little bit murky and he got to play behind next to, two very good safeties and all of that. Marlon Humphrey, who's amazing. But in any case, my point is your Ravens defense, you feel really good about most of this unit. Awuzie or whoever, if he doesn't play, is the clear weak link. So when you think about going against, your Josh Allens, your Patrick Mahomes of the world, your Joe Burrows, that's who they're going to attack. And Awuzie was really injured last year. He wasn't great when he played. But for most of his career, he's been at minimum an average NFL corner. And if you can just get average to above average cornerback play out of him, I think the pass defense should be a lot better than what they were in the beginning of last season.
So, Sarah, Cheeto, this obviously goes back to early in the offseason, maybe as a refresher for some people that are kind of getting back into the Ravens swing of things. But I read this text message aloud not long after the signing, and it was from Paul Kuharski, who covers the Titans, who's been on the show, friend of the show.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked him, I said, hey, can you shed any light on why the Titans let him go? Because as you remember from the Ian Rappaport note here, they're going to owe him. They're paying him $7.5 million to suit up for another team in the same conference.
Mm-hmm.
So why? And Paul wrote me back, there's been a big health push here from the new general manager. That's the biggest thing. All 10 free agents they've signed have played a huge percentage of their games. He missed a big chunk of last season and a bunch over the last several years, which dates back to Cincy. Still, though, it's weird to eat such a chunk of cap dollars. Mm-hmm. Kind of a good summary there, right? In terms of okay, this is the philosophy right now for the organization, but at the same time, 7.5 M's to go play for Baltimore. So what's going on here? It'll just be interesting to watch to see what they're going to get out of him and what he has left in the tank. And if a new change of scenery benefits him, benefits the secondary as a whole.
So to sum up what he's saying injuries. Injuries is why they moved on and they've got other guys coming in.
It's one way of putting it.
Okay. Well, yeah, $7.5 million, that really does allow him to come for cheap to the Ravens. His cap hit will be $1.25 million, and he's potentially a starter depending on the rotation, but definitely he's the number 3 CB, right? It's Nate Wiggins and Marlon Humphrey, but if you kick Marlon Humphrey inside, then Cheeto could be the other starter on the outside depending on what they're facing, what defense they're going to be in. So I thought this was an interesting X factor choice by Mina, and I kind of am buying it. But I would call this an under the radar X factor because I think clearly the more in your face has to work, has to happen X factor is Malachi Starks, especially given that Ardarius Washington is now out for the season. Maybe he could come back towards the end or to the playoffs, but essentially he's out for the season. And Malachi Starks is a first-round draft pick, and so he's a big deal. His next step is a big deal. So to me, I'd say he's a bigger X factor, but sometimes X factors are more under the radar. And the way she talks about this, she's absolutely right. If Malachi Starks can play as well as or better than Ardarius Washington, that's great. But when Ardarius Washington was playing well, quarterbacks still targeted Brandon Stevens, and it was brutal to watch. When the Ravens needed a stop, if it's 3rd and long, you were still super nervous because you were like, oh, well, all say Josh Allen or Burrow has to do is target the receiver that Brandon Stevens is guarding. And so if both Malachi Starks and Chidobe Awuzie can become even average or better then yeah, you need both of them to step up. And so you have 1 weak link. Opposing offensive coordinators will expose that. Opposing quarterbacks will expose that. And so I agree with her that he is a X factor. I'd probably put Starks above that, but I do think he's an under the radar one that I hadn't been thinking of that will be a big deal. Here's the thing though. If Awuzie doesn't pan out, you still have behind him potentially TJ Tampa and some of the other guys that have been drafted. Tampa being, I think, the top of the list. If Starks doesn't pan out, Ravens are in trouble. Cheeto doesn't pan out, there might be some other solutions.
I think that's fair. I would even go, if I had to pick multiple X factors, I might go, while putting Starks in that lead category in terms of importance, I might go whoever's going to be Roquan's running mate as an X factor. Because early on in that season last year, particularly reared its ugly head on opening night against Kansas City, the underneath pass coverage from the middle level 2 of that defense, mostly Trenton Simpson, really struggled and put the back end under a lot of unnecessary stress. And so while there were plenty of issues on their own that were singular and that were irrelevant to what was happening in the middle part of the defense on the back end, it sure didn't help that they weren't getting a lot of support from level 2. So that would make an honorable mention for me in terms of defensive X factors. Shall we get to some super chats?
Yeah, let's do.
Appreciate you guys for being with us on this Wednesday. Over 1,700 concurrents right now and counting, Tila. Like the video on your way in. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell. You guys know the drill. We're clearing up. I should say we're closing in on 350 channel Voltron, Sarah, and there's already gift giving that's taking place right now in the live chat, including D-Row or Dro00, who gifted 5 channel memberships. So 5 new Voltron, Sarah, as of just a few minutes ago. We appreciate you, D-Row. Thank you for the love. And how about this? Another Bible verse for us today, and that is courtesy of our guy, Park Heights Prophet. Sarah, you take this one.
He's got Proverbs 21:31, but he's addressing it specifically to Dre Dog. He says, in this week of OTAs, let us begin a march to victory. For now, we work. No crowds, no cheers, simply a season of preparation for the battles that lie ahead. We work in the dark and win in the light. PHP isn't only generous, but he usually has really good super chats. So I think I know what verse he's talking about when he's talking about we march to victory, but let me pull it up to get the exact one. So he's obviously given us a $21.31 super chats for Proverbs 21:31. Let's see here. I always like to get the King James version. This always brings up a few, but anyway, this is the oh shoot, I just lost it. Hold on.
Well, it's an exceptional message. That's what it is. I love the way that it just rolled right off your tongue as he put that all together. It's fantastic.
This is the New International Version. He says, the horse is made ready for the day of battle, but victory rests with the Lord.
Appreciate you, PHP, checking in. Awesome message. And cool for Dre Dog to be on the receiving end there as well. And there he is. Speaking of Dre Dog 679, a channel member, chiming in to give you a little bit of love. Sarah's a gangster. I can't wait until we get Spiritual Sundays with Sarah Ellis, and he's speaking into existence.
Yes, he is. He's got an agenda.
Your energy rejuvenates us, Sarah. Get it. Dakota Moon.
Dakota's saying, what a trooper. I think they're all chiming into my dentist appointment and the description of that. So appreciate you guys. Appreciate it a lot.
As they should. The left-hand side of your face isn't moving. So we know you're in pain or you have some sort of numbness, and yet you're here. So your partner appreciates that. Everybody else appreciates that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's see. Shall we get into DeAndre?
Well, let's finish up with the AFC North OTA stuff.
All right. AFC North OTA stuff, which we should begin with. What do we want to begin with?
Well, we can just start. We can start with the Browns if you want. Just so obviously most people are getting into OTAs now. I think Cincinnati began last week. But on the eve of the Browns, or on the day, I guess, that they started, we just don't have the media in there quite yet. Their first round pick, defensive tackle Mason Graham, has officially signed his rookie contract, so he's inked on the dotted line. We're still waiting, Bobby. Maybe it'll come this week. We're still waiting for Malachi Starks and Mike Green to sign their rookie contracts. Correct. So with more and more first rounders getting it done, it'll start, expanding throughout the league to try to get these first and second rounders done.
We can also add on to the great news segment from a Baltimore perspective because Lamar is in the building. The Ravens
just tweeted
out a short while ago. The highlights, Lamar is back. He is throwing, and he's working with the quarterbacks right now as we speak. Second day of the first session of OTAs, and Lamar Jackson is there. So that initial slide that we had of a solid, A-level attendance just probably vaulted to A+. You can add Lamar to this list of Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely, Ronnie Stanley, so on and so forth. And these are just some of the notable names that help make a successful start to OTAs. These are voluntary sessions. There he is from the team's account.
There's
showing some love to his center.
Look at him trying to chest bump Linderbaum, who's totally not ready. But
happy to see that Iowa farmer. How can he not? He's a
the guy that protects him, all of that. Oh my gosh, Lamar getting on the jersey as he goes out. Listen, you know what, Bobby? The news does get better because we already said it was great news. The news gets better because he doesn't. I've said this. I will always keep this. If you're a veteran who's returning the same offense, it's not critical that you're at OTAs. But if you're there, that's just icing on the cake. It's just icing on the cake. So to see him there, and I hope that we for sure will, because the media is in there. I want to see the first pass from Lamar Jackson to DeAndre Hopkins. We need that, right? We always need it with the new guys, his new receivers. That's what we're going to need. So good for Lamar being there on the first week. Again, certainly doesn't need to be, which is why you appreciate the guy.
You appreciate PHP's consistency too, because he wanted to make sure to celebrate the moment with an $8 super chat to celebrate 8 being in the building with a bunch of prayer emojis. So appreciate you, PHP. Never miss a moment to play on words, play on super chats, play on numbers. We appreciate you. Let's continue through the OTAs just around the AFC North before we get to an entire segment dedicated to DeAndre Hopkins. And you brought this in, Joy Taylor going off on Aaron Rodgers, who remains unsigned. He is not a Pittsburgh Steeler. He is a free agent. And you got to wonder when. He's dropped a couple little hints lately, whether it's throwing with DK Metcalf. I think he was doing a Q&A recently, and they asked him if he would be a Chicago Bear or ever play in Chicago. Obviously, he is not very loved at all in Chicago, given the in-division dynamic there with Green Bay over the years. And he said some pretty harsh things about the Bears organization over the years. But he did say, I don't know about that, not Chicago, but I could see a team that's facing Chicago. I could see them this upcoming season. So he's thrown a couple little teasers out there, Sarah, but Joy Taylor's not biting, huh?
Well, she's upset. She's upset. It appears that he's not there at OTA. So we already have controversy about whether quarterbacks show up when they're signed to the team. Aaron Rodgers has not signed, but I think Joy Taylor still thinks he should be there for the voluntary OTAs.
Why? Why? This is the Pittsburgh Steelers. They have 6 Lombardies. They're coached by
a
first ballot Hall of Fame Mike Tomlin.
They don't have a quarterback.
Had a losing
they don't have
season.
a quarterback.
And we're sitting around talking about Aaron Rodgers is not there on the first day of OTAs. Mandatory or not, where's your pride? Where's your dignity?
That's why I say I'm going to give him another day.
Where's your respect for the game? Where's your respect for this organization? Where's this organization's respect for the history that they have in this league? What are we talking about? He's never played there before. He doesn't know any of these teammates. He doesn't know the streets to get to the facility. He doesn't know the doctors. He doesn't know the rehab crew. He doesn't know anybody. He doesn't know anybody. He doesn't know where to get his smoothies. Nothing. Like, why would you not be there? Why am I supposed to take this seriously? It's not about him not being at non-mandatory OTAs for a team that he's been with for 22 years. Do what you want to do. You won 5 games last year. The year before that, you didn't play because you tore your Achilles. The year before that, you missed the playoffs. What are we talking about? Now you got me crashing out, Paul.
Now you got me crashing out, she says. She was close to it. Listen, Bobby, I love all of this. Like, this is the Ravens AFC North rival. They still don't have their quarterback in their starting quarterback in house. So listen, it would be beneficial to the Steelers if Aaron Rodgers would hurry up and make a decision and sign or not sign. Like you said before we showed that clip, he has teased that he's going to sign with the Steelers. He ruled out, I think, at that Q&A, the New Orleans Saints. And so at the same time, usually not at the quarterback position, there are plenty of veterans in their twilight years that will not sign until training camp because they don't want to keep doing this stuff. They don't want to keep doing it. They're seasoned veterans. I don't hate on Aaron Rodgers for not signing before the voluntary OTAs. And that's regardless of how I feel about the Steelers. But I love that he hasn't because I don't want him to get a jump on things. I saw how things went down with the Jets. I don't think things went well, although I think it would go better with the Steelers if he signs there. But I do think it's funny that she's this upset that he hasn't signed yet or that he's not there when he hasn't signed yet. Like, he'll sign when he wants to sign. And the Steelers, if they don't want to wait, they don't have to wait. But the Steelers clearly want to wait. They're willing to wait. And I think once you start getting into mandatory mini camps, maybe you should be a little bit more upset. But I just love this for the Steelers right now that they don't have a quarterback, their starting quarterback in house yet.
I find it rather comical too that Joy's, as she said it, crashing out.
Yeah,
because this is the Aaron Rodgers. This is how it goes with Aaron Rodgers. This is the same guy as a New York Jet who missed mandatory minicamp to be in Egypt.
Right.
Okay. Like, this is how it goes with him. He's 40 plus years old. Clearly on that McAfee interview a couple months ago, maybe a month or two ago, you and I both were in agreement that this does not seem like a football player right now that is fully committed to football. Mm-hmm. He basically said as much in that interview that he has a lot of things going on and people around his life that need him. And so if to be honest with you, I don't have an ounce of what's the right word for it? I don't feel bad for Pittsburgh at all. No. This is how it goes with Aaron Rodgers. And they've decided to put their entire organization on hold and play that game with him. Now, maybe they have confidence from an ownership standpoint that Aaron will indeed be true to his word, if there is a word to be true to, based on their conversations. But I don't feel bad at all. This is how Aaron goes, and whether you like it or not, this is the Aaron Rodgers experience.
Yes, and the Steelers essentially have no choice. If they wanted to draft a guy sooner, if they wanted to go and pursue a free agent quarterback with more money, with more aggressiveness, they could have done it. And so they didn't want to. And Aaron knows. You're going to wait because I say you're going to wait. You're going to wait because I know you don't have any better options. And so, great. Make them wait. Make it the process start later and later and later so the Steelers can start slow. That would be nice in the AFC North. So I'm cool with it. Let me see. Was there any other? Oh, there was one more AFC North just nugget. There was some rumors going around that Shedeur Sanders had purchased himself a $500,000 Rolls Royce.
Oh, and look who tweeted it out.
Your favorite friend.
The most honest guy in the X space, Dov Kleiman, who Shedeur is basically calling a liar. Well, how fitting is this? Worlds have collided here.
Worlds have collided. Now, Dov obviously isn't the only person to do it, but he might be the biggest platform on Twitter. And so he puts out there that he bought that. And so people start making fun of Shedeur, that it's like, hey, that's basically all you're going to make in your rookie year or just under it. Then other people are fighting. We're like, well, he's got a lot of NIL money. He's got sponsors. He can afford it, yada, yada, yada. Shador calls him out, says another lie. I'm focused on my team, not a car purchase. His father replied to a different account that was spreading the same rumor, just saying lies in all caps. And I figured out where this all started. So his brother, who runs a YouTube account, he was gifted for a month this Rolls Royce. And it was them saying, hey, try it out for a month and see if you want to buy it. And so his brother had posted it and FaceTimed Shador about it. And so everybody assumed it was Shador, but his brother made another YouTube video saying, no, they lent it to us for a month to see if we want to buy it. He's like, he lent it to me. He's like, I promise you, if I get a Rolls Royce, it will not be olive green. So there's that. Meanwhile, I don't know. So at Corey Scusa apparently was in the Browns OTAs yesterday. Their team did tweet out some videos like the Ravens did of practice, but none of the other normal reporters were there. Corey looked like he got access and he just raved. He said, I've been here at the Browns OTAs for a little over an hour and I haven't seen Shador Sanders miss a single pass yet. And he says coaches are noticeably impressed. So this will be another quarterback situation, just like the Steelers, that we're going to follow in the Browns to know who the Ravens will be facing once the season starts. And we'll try to win that AFC North crown. So sounds like he's given a pretty good first impression. So, I mean, I haven't heard any bad reports yet coming out of the Browns. Have you?
No.
Yeah. There hasn't been a lot of time, but, everybody talks so much about his interview process in the combine with the Giants and all that kind of stuff. Up to now, he's just loved being with Joe Flacco. Sounds like he's done well with the Browns. And, maybe he'll impress enough to compete for a starting role. He's got a lot of competition now. But since he's led it in Cleveland, it sounds like he's done all the right things.
Something from the Cleveland beat community as well. Friend of the show, Daniel Oyefusi, who works for ESPN, used to be a Baltimore Sun guy in town. Joe Flacco, this is unsurprising, right? He's getting the first team quarterback reps in 11-on-11 drills. So that was 25 minutes ago. You expect him to earn that, to have earned that. And it looks like that's what Kevin Stefanski's going with here in his first OTA session, 11-on-11. Joe Flacco is QB1 right now.
Meanwhile, on Twitter, because the Baltimore reporters are allowed into practice today, I'm watching video from Ryan Mink of DeAndre Hopkins and Mark Andrews taking in passes together and kind of chatting on the side, talking to each other. So nice to see. It still kind of doesn't feel real. And I know that DeAndre Hopkins is on the back end of his career, but it's still cool. I mean, to see DeAndre Hopkins is a Raven. I didn't know that I'd ever see the day, and to see him next to Mark Andrews there, pretty cool to see that video. That's probably the latest one. And it sounds like Mark Andrews is going to talk after practice today, along with Isaiah Likely, Odafe Owe, and John Harbaugh. No Lamar Jackson at podium today. Gotcha.
Let's get fully caught up on Super Chats before we continue to discuss the DeAndre Hopkins topic point. But DreDog679 with a Super Chat as a channel member and wants to shout out Holly Keefe for graduating. Join the world of accounting. If you need anything, please let me know. I got your back. Hashtag accountants, one of his many gigs out there.
Yeah, Dre Dog is like everything. Isn't he like a life coach and he's an accountant? I didn't know that.
He does it all. He does a little side hustle, Uber driving as well. The guy's an absolute beast. Got a lot of respect for him. And we echo those sentiments. Congratulations, Holly. It is graduation season, and she's one of our biggest supporters. So we want to support her in this moment as well. Congratulations to Holly and Sarah. Before we transition, this is not a super chat, but I've been led on to seeing a comment from one Francis Trossett. Who says, glad to see that Bobby is seemingly recovered from his Francis plague.
Ooh.
A clear false narrative by my eldest child, even though my father told me within the last week or so that every symptom that I was sharing with him, that I was telling him about, that I've been battling for 10 days now, is the spitting image symptom to what he's been dealing with as well. Who got it first?
Started when he was in town.
The Francis plague.
But what I need from Mr. Francis is an alternative theory. An alternative theory of where this came up when you were with each other. He was staying in your house, yeah?
There isn't a theory.
Oh.
All right. You can search. You can search all you want for that. You ain't gonna find it. He was not staying with me. He did stay over one night, but he was around me. We were video vlogging.
I saw a couple of those.
Yeah, we were doing all sorts. There was a bunch of interactions. Hopefully you're feeling better, Pops. I have not seen him yet since I've been back in town. I'm at my mom's. But yeah, you know he's going to take that chance to run with it. He's got to leave in a super chat, though. I mean, come on now. You don't put a super chat in there, you don't get read. What makes him special? I mean, come on.
He's your father.
I'll see him tomorrow night. He's going to have words for me. Okay.
There's no way my parents coming from my dad born in 1936, my mom born in 45. The way they grew up, my mom on a farm, there's no way they would use money in such a way as on super chats. Like what? It's all about saving. You save your money, you work hard for your money, you spend it wisely. There's no way they would ever spend money on a super chat. It's a different world. It's a different world that they grew up in.
Similar lifestyle in the house I grew up in, which is exactly why he ain't leaving a super chat, even if I am going to criticize him in public like I am right now. So there you go. All right. All in good fun. Over 2,600 concurrents today. We appreciate you guys for being with us. If you could like the video on the way in, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and hit that notification bell, we'd be very appreciative. So this happened today, Sarah. This happened this week to, of course, ring in the first session of voluntary organized team activities. It's DeAndre Hopkins in purple and black. Sure, there are no pads. They aren't running contact drills. They're doing some drills. There is some contact. But DeAndre Hopkins, Sarah, has made it clear on the other side of 30 in year one with Baltimore that he is going to be present. And there he is. And here is some film work, catching some footballs, getting a little bit of drills off the line, showing some one-on-one work. I think that was Greg Lewis, right? One of the wide receiver coaches out there. But there he is, rocking number 10. And like you said earlier on in the show, it is kind of this moment where it's like, oh, yeah, D-Hop's a Raven. Yes, he is indeed.
And it's insane. It's insane. No, it's nice to see. Let me see if they show that release again. Yeah. Yeah, he's never even in his younger years was like the speediest guy in the world, but he does know how to get open. He knows how to get off the blocks, and he knows how to get open. And so that's perfect for a number 3 wide receiver. I know the rest of the national media keep playing him up to be like he's like the new number 2 or something like that, or maybe even number 1 in some cases, but that is not what he's brought here to do. He's obviously brought here to help on third downs when you need to move the sticks, when you're not in like a 3rd and 2 kind of situation where you either want Derrick Henry or Lamar kind of running the ball there, or even Justice Hill. It's 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7. And now you've got Bateman, and you've got Zay, and you've got Hopkins, and Likely, and whoever else. And that's what the Ravens need him to do. And I think that is something he can do. I'm not predicting any sort of massive production, but if he can become that chain mover and a guy in crunch time, then he will have served the exact purpose that the Ravens needed.
Chain mover, guy in crunch time that's going to answer the bell, get you that 50-50 ball that Lamar throws up there in a crucial situation, right? Bring a certain level of savvy, bring that OBJ kind of mentorship to what's an otherwise young and inexperienced wide receiver room. And everything else outside of those things is gravy, as we've kind of mentioned a couple times this offseason. Ryan Clark, former Steeler, now ESPN analyst. Boy, has he been in the news lately, Sarah. There's been plenty of RC on my X timeline in recent weeks. But DeAndre caught a little bit of a stray in one of his recent clips on ESPN, and it had nothing to do, the topic itself, with DeAndre Hopkins. It had everything to do with Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen being pinned up against one another. It's the purpose of debate here on ESPN, this clip that we're about to share with you. It goes from essentially, will Josh or Lamar get it done? Will Lamar get it done right now? And RC goes on a little bit of a tangent here And you'll see how DeAndre catches a little bit of shade towards the end of this clip. Listen to this.
Or Josh Allen. And it's because I've seen it, Greeny. I've seen Josh Allen stand on the field with the greatest player in the world right now and go toe-to-toe with him. I saw Josh Allen give this team a chance on a pass to Dalton Kincaid, falling backwards, throwing off of his back foot, and give them an opportunity to win that game, and he just dropped the football. Josh Allen has shown us that he can do everything you need to do on the big stage. Lamar Jackson has not. Do I believe Lamar Jackson has the potential? Does Lamar Jackson have it in him? Absolutely. He's one of the greatest players I've ever seen, but I haven't seen it the way I've seen it with Josh Allen. And to be honest with you, if I'm going to trust any guy in the playoffs, it's actually Joe Burrow.
Okay, so just to be clear, that first clip was who has the better chance of beating Patrick Mahomes and reaching the Super Bowl. And it was Lamar or Josh or Joe Burrow. And you heard him there at the end go on to say that he trusts Joe Burrow the most in the postseason. This second clip, same segment, similar topic, is will Lamar get to a Super Bowl?
Yeah, and real quick, just to respond to what he just said right there before you get to the DeAndre stuff and the impact he has with Lamar. Like the favorites to win the Super Bowl, according to ESPN Bet, the Ravens are slightly above the Bills with the third best chance. So they have the Chiefs and Eagles tied at plus 600. Then it's the Ravens plus 650, and then it's the Bills plus 700. So, the kind of Vegas ESPN Bet thing is giving the Ravens a slight advantage. But listen, if RC wants to choose Josh Allen, that's fine. I mean, he's saying, listen, I've seen Josh Allen play better in the postseason than Lamar. We've all talked about the context of Lamar in the playoffs. And at the end of the day, what separates these two quarterbacks are turnovers. And it's obviously the two quarterbacks, but it's also the team around them. And so RC is saying, you know what? I'm going to take Josh Allen. Fine. Go and take Josh Allen. But then it's this next part that it's like why he thinks he's not so sure that the Ravens are going to get over the hump and where DeAndre Hopkins gets that stray.
Greeny, I can't answer that question. It's the year that Lamar Jackson has to win the championship. There's no more pressure on any player in this entire league to perform in the playoffs than there is Lamar Jackson. It doesn't matter that you add DeAndre Hopkins. It doesn't matter that you go out and get Malachi Starks to be in the secondary in the first round. It's what does Lamar Jackson do in the most important moments. And what has happened is he's been the best player all season during the regular season and come up short in the playoffs. That can't happen if he wants to get a ring.
So I guess that's the question I want to pose to you. So what he's essentially saying here is that for Lamar Jackson, any of the offseason moves, whether it's the draft picks or it's DeAndre or it's Cheeto, who Mina called an X factor, he says it doesn't matter. So I guess that's my question to you. Does DeAndre Hopkins or any of the additions help Lamar's cause? Or does none of it matter and it's all just about how well Lamar plays? What do you think?
It can't hurt the cause, right? Like, I have a hard time saying it can hurt. Any of the additions can hurt the cause. Do I think that DeAndre is going to be? I don't think do you and I think he's going to be a needle moving acquisition for them? I don't know. I think needle moving is strong for me. Do I think he's going to be impactful in a small sample size? I could see that. I'd totally be open to that. I think that's kind of what we were just getting at.
Do you feel that way about all the offseason additions or just DeAndre?
Say that once more.
Do you think, because I think Ryan Clark's bigger point is, yes, it's DeAndre won't move the needle, but I think he's saying all offseason additions won't move the needle. It's all on Lamar. I guess I'm asking you, do you think that there's been any addition, whether through the draft or free agency, that is needle moving?
I wouldn't say needle moving. No, I think that they just needed to be done from a fulfilling your roster standpoint, from a depth standpoint, from a replacement standpoint of Cheeto with Brandon Stevens, right? You bring in, obviously the extensions were important for Ronnie Stanley, first and foremost, to protect Lamar and that as that blindside franchise protector. We have great optimism about Mike Green, but he hasn't played a snap yet in the NFL. And so do I think that any one of their acquisitions was needle moving? No, I do not. Do I think that they were necessary? Yes. I think there's a difference between the two, though. Okay. What about you?
Well, Like, I feel like there's almost two conversations here. Okay, so I lived live the 2012 season. Okay. And when we think back, sometimes like certain narratives rise above the others. And for sure, Joe Flacco went on a historic playoff Super Bowl run. Like, he played out of his mind. And at the same time, as being a firsthand witness, including in the stadium, at the Super Bowl, at the Superdome in New Orleans, it's easy to forget how many of his teammates stepped up. Like, when I tell you that Anquan Bolden played insane. Like, Bobby, there was like a third, I can't remember if it was 3rd and 7 or 3rd and 9, something like that. Or it might have been 4th and 7, something crazy in New Orleans. And they went ahead and went for it. And Joe Flacco threw up a prayer, and he put the prayer in the perfect spot. But if Anquan Bolden didn't go up and do an Anquan Bolden thing, the Super Bowl might have been lost. If Jacoby Jones, some people say, I would have given the MVP to Joe Flacco. I do not want this to be like a downplaying of Joe Flacco. I'm more trying to make a greater point that, like, quarterbacks need teammates to step up to. And so, like, Jacoby Jones was a pretty close second place for Super Bowl MVP with the way he had a return for a touchdown on special teams and the way he went and grabbed an underthrown ball, got up off the ground, and like juked his way into the end zone. Dennis Pitta had some sweet catches in the end zone. Then the defense throughout 2012 was average. Go look it up. Go look up the stats. And it's because Ray Lewis was injured. Terrell Suggs was injured. There were just so many injuries. And then all of a sudden, these veterans just put everything on the line for 4 games. And then the defense finally started to step up. But the defense almost lost it. If Jimmy Smith didn't come in and play against Michael Crabtree. So my point is, I think that RC is almost saying, I don't care about anything except for Lamar playing well, which Lamar is the biggest, hugest factor. If he doesn't play well, they don't have a prayer. And so, yes, it's mostly on Lamar, but at the same time, can a DeAndre Hopkins give not as much as Anquan Bolden gave throughout the season, because I don't think he'll produce raw, huge numbers like that. But can DeAndre Hopkins go up and get a 50-50 ball on 4th and 7 the way Anquan Bolden did? Can Mark Andrews come down with and be as reliable as Pitta was for Joe Flacco during those playoffs? And so it's like, I don't know that DeAndre Hopkins will be an Anquan Bolden. I don't. But what I do know is somebody, whether it's a DeAndre Hopkins or a Cheeto or a Malachi Starks or a Mike Green or a Zay Flowers or an Isaiah Likely or something, somebody has to make outstanding plays the way Jacoby Jones did, the way Anquan Bolden did, the way all of these guys did. Somebody has to be outstanding with Lamar. And while Lamar hasn't been his MVP level in every single playoff game, he has been in a couple, and he's going to have to maintain that, but he's going to need somebody else to be outstanding in the playoffs with him, or else like it's just too much to put on one person's back in the playoffs. Maybe you can do that in the regular season, but you need outstanding play from his teammates also. I hope Hopkins can do it, or Zay can do it, or Isaiah. Somebody's got to do it with him though.
Evan left a comment a couple minutes ago, and he says, you can't tell me you think last year's version of Nelly is better than D-Hop, and I'm not telling you that.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that. I think DeAndre will be an upgrade over Nelson Aguilar as wide receiver 3. Nelly only had a couple hundred receiving yards last year. He was barely involved in their offense. He was not a focal point whatsoever, as most wide receiver 3s aren't. So that's not, I'm not arguing that whatsoever. Mm-hmm. The question that you posed to me, I think you're kind of just gathering the way you're processing Ryan Clark's comments is, do I think that whether it's DeAndre Hopkins or collectively, the additions collectively this year, acquisition-wise, will they move the needle? And my answer is I don't think so.
Yeah.
But I also agree with what you're saying in a key pivotal moment, which is not how I'm understanding the question. In January, do I think that DeAndre could be needle moving in a small sample size when they need 4 yards?
Right.
Yes, I do. But throughout the the full slate of games, do I expect DeAndre to be a needle-moving acquisition at this point in his career? No, I don't.
No, but in the context that RC is talking about it, and them is they're talking about it in a Super Bowl playoff context. And so, do you think in a playoff context he would be needle moving?
If you want to call needle moving, again, this small sample size example, of 3rd and 4, you got to have it.
Yeah.
And he's your 50-50 guy.
Yeah.
Then I suppose, but if you're defining this as a legendary postseason run, needle moving acquisition, then I can't buy that for Diop at this point in his career.
Yeah, I hear you on that. Like, I think he can make 1 or 2 plays, like you said. To me, I agree. I agree with you that I don't know that there was like there wasn't a Derrick Henry type signing this offseason, right? There wasn't that. That was needle moving. To me, there needs to be a needle mover. DeAndre Hopkins isn't at the top of the list of somebody who I'm saying needs to step up and play outstanding. I think Derrick Henry can, but the problem is if you get behind Derrick Henry can't be as big of a factor. So if you're behind in a game because of turnovers by 2 touchdowns, then Derrick Henry is less of a factor. And so then it becomes who else will become outstanding. I do think Derrick Henry is one. But to me, if we're talking about somebody that's going to step up and be outstanding with Lamar, I would take Isaiah Likely and Zay Flowers before I get to DeAndre Hopkins.
I would put Bateman ahead of Hopkins.
And maybe even Bateman, yeah.
And that's no disrespect to the guy.
Yeah.
I'm just going off of what I've seen in a postseason sample size here the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I would go Derek 1, Zay 2, Bateman 3, and then maybe actually I'd probably put Likely ahead of, again, this isn't the slight DeAndre Hopkins. I think this is a good reminder, this exercise, right, of like tempering expectations in a sense for why they brought in DeAndre Hopkins. And the reasons that we listed earlier on in this segment is the reason we think they did. And so they don't need him to go. If he is a needle mover, great. I'm happy to be wrong. Very happy to be wrong, matter of fact. But I don't think that's why they brought him in, and I don't think they need him to be that. And I think there's several other options in front of him that are absolutely capable of being exactly that.
I do see the most likely scenario being one that I just described in that Joe Flacco run, where I named, like, think about it, the Jacoby Jones in Denver, right? And Torrey Smith in Denver. They were both phenomenal. And then Aquan Bolin stepped up in that Super Bowl game and then in other games. And Ray Rice and then Dennis Pitta. So I do see a scenario where it'd be like, if different guys can just step up in different moments the way they did for Joe Flacco that year, that works too. But I don't see DeAndre Hopkins as hey, you have Jamar Chase on your team. Just go to Jamar Chase. You know what I mean? To me, it's more like who's having a game and who can do it in specific moments. And that's where I think DeAndre Hopkins in specific moments could be huge in the playoffs.
Could not agree anymore with that. And they have a plethora of guys that can answer the bell in those moments. Give us 5 different moments, right? Right now in your mind, just think of 5 different pivotal moments out there in the audience for January 2026, right? It could be a comeback in the works. It could be you're trying to close things down and milk the clock. It could be whatever it is, field positioning, you name it. And they have 5 players outside of Lamar that you feel like can be called upon, and there's a darn good chance that question will be answered, that bell will be rung. And so what a luxury going into the postseason. Total luxury. They got to get there first. The expectation is that they'll be there, but what a total luxury to have.
And as we're talking about this, Bobby, I just love all these videos still coming in. I'm seeing videos of Derrick Henry, Justice Hill, and Keaton Mitchell all together. Just so great. I'm seeing DeAndre Hopkins and Derrick Henry reuniting, and this time they've got Lamar Jackson. Like, I just, again, because I've said this, I don't feel like Lamar Jackson needs to be there today. I don't feel like Derrick Henry needs to be there today. But I think it says something that they are. I think it says something about their mentality that they are. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That it's like you don't need to be there, but you are. You're there to welcome in DeAndre Hopkins. You guys had this dream back in the day that the three of you, what if we got on the same team together? And so I'm just like, I'm just getting energy right now from all these videos that are popping up on Twitter that just says like, they know like we know. The window is now. The window has been there, and you haven't been able to take advantage of the window to date. And there's been 2019, 2023, 2024, all of those years they could have gone on to the Super Bowl and they didn't. They know that windows can be small, and it just feels like they're taking this moment as professionally and as seriously as they possibly can.
Vibes aren't just high inside this show today. I think they're high in that building. They're high within this fan base across the country, across the world. And again, first session of voluntary organized team activities, Sarah, and the attendance is through the roof. Let's get to some super chats before quick hits.
I'm just curious who's not there at this point. If Lamar's there and DeAndre's there and Derrick Henry's there, you better have a pretty good reason to not be there. Yes, back to super chats.
And look who's back with us. Park Heights Profit with a $25 spot, which means an orange banner. Hopefully this $25 will help. 25, Ryan Clark, get the glaze off his face. Stop saying you trust Burrow from a win 4 years ago and Josh, who never did it. They say Joe is the same as 4 years ago, and I guess so is Lamar. Logic.
It's funny how narratives stick.
Asmodeus Thanatos, a channel member for you.
He says, I legitimately believe we won't know for sure we win the Super Bowl until it happens. I was still sweating New England after the Mile High Miracle. For real, though. And I'll also say this. When the Ravens signed Jacoby Jones, I didn't think he was a needle mover. You know what I mean? He was like the third wide receiver, just like we're talking about DeAndre. And it's like, hey, they have Anquan Bolden. They just drafted, a while ago, Torrey Smith. He was out of Maryland, so he was super, super popular. I did not think Jacoby Jones was going to be the X factor that he was during that playoff run.
Yeah. Dre Dog 6'7", missed that guy, man. It's coming up on a year since his passing. Dre Dog 679 chimes back in and says OBJ definitely averaged 16 yards per catch. If D-Hop does that with Zay and Butterfingers Bateman, getting numbers will have a solid 3 for sure. Oh, I didn't read the sentence correctly with my verbiage. So if D-Hop does that with Zay and Butterfingers Bateman, getting numbers will have a solid 3 for sure. Cortez Clark. How about Bateman catching a stray?
Bateman catching a stray, yep.
Cortez Clark Lacey, also a channel Voltron, checking in.
He said, need a needle mover of defense for sure. Pass defense, inconsistent pass rush, inside linebacker competition. Nelly is less than D-Hop. Healthy, 34.
Keaton.
Is that Keaton? Vet coaches added on. Chuck Pagano. And so I agree with him. I think the defense, more than they need DeAndre Hopkins, they need the defense to be sure again. We need to get back to being a bare minimum, top 10 defense. I mean, but the Ravens standard is top 5. So for sure, need a needle mover on that side.
CCL, appreciate the super chat there. Olu says D-Hop being coveted by the number 3 DB. Love it. Covered, excuse me.
What was DeAndre Hopkins being used as in KC? Was he a number 3? I mean, was he a number 3? They went through a lot of injuries, so maybe he was being used for more than that. Hollywood was injured.
Well, when you think about,
Rashee Rice.
I mean, Kelsey's obviously their number 1.
Yeah, that's at the tight end position, and the Ravens have their own tight end, so.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, he was secondary, obviously, but they had plenty of injuries, which was the reason why they brought him in to begin with at the deadline.
Yeah.
Kobe Pruitt writes, D-Hop struggled with Kansas City. This is actually yours.
Oh, because they didn't have a plan for him. Monken can use him as a pinning force to open up backhand deep passes for Zay and Bate, for sure. I do think that DeAndre Hopkins commands some respect. And if not, then he's one-on-one. And I trust D-Hop on 50-50 balls one-on-one. But there's other people that respect more, so he could find himself in a lot of one-on-ones.
Sure.
So he and Lamar just need to get that chemistry.
Thanks, Kobe. Fully caught up to Super Chats. Let's get to some quick hits. You brought this one in on the Ravens wide receiver room.
Yeah, just while we're talking about wide receivers, so Warren Sharp recently put up the list of the most expensive wide receiver rooms. To nobody's surprise, the Cincinnati Bengals lead that because they just paid Jamar and Higgins. And you have to go all the way down to number 29 to find the Ravens. Now, this is going to vary a little bit from list to list because sometimes people's cap hit numbers vary. But right now they're number 29. So that made me go look back up the Ravens history because I've been keeping this for years because I've been wondering how long the Ravens go back to not paying big money at the wide receiver position. So I have this all from Spot Rack information. So Spot Rack actually has the Ravens ranked number 31 with 18.9, but they're definitely in the neighborhood of 18.1. So, the lowest they've ever played was ranked number 32 in 2022. Those were some tough years for Lamar. The most they've ever played, we were just talking about the 2012 season with Anquan Bolden, Jacoby Jones, and Torrey Smith. They were ranked number 10 in the league, and they won a Super Bowl that year. But overall, going all the way back to 2012, they averaged being ranked about number 24 in the league of how much they spend at the wide receiver position. This year, being number 31 isn't the worst thing because they got Rashad Bateman on a super cheap second deal. And Zay Flowers just came off of a Pro Bowl year, his second year on his rookie contract. And then you got DeAndre Hopkins coming in on super cheap, and then everybody else is on their rookie deals. And so the Ravens better keep drafting well if they want to keep this up. And the only reason why it's not a horrid situation being ranked number 31 according to Spot Rack is because Bateman and Zay Flowers are playing well on either a rookie deal or had a tough rookie stint with injuries. And so that's why they got Bateman so cheap. So we just wonder, we talked about this yesterday, actually. Will Zay Flowers be the first guy to actually be paid big money since he's a Pro Bowl receiver drafted by the Ravens?
Cracks me up, though, how long you've been tracking this and how much it's a night and day experience at this point based on where they used to be.
Because it's been going on since I've covered them. It's an Ozzie Newsome philosophy that's carried on to Eric DeCosta. Although at least Eric DeCosta takes more swings in the draft than Ozzie did.
He sure does, boy.
Yeah.
There are plenty of them. Plenty of them. More quick hits as we roll on here. By the way, we will get to one more thing in just a second here. A new segment of ours where we talk not about Ravens football. And Sarah, there's a massive audience today, low key, in the YouTube space. Over 800 concurrents right now brings us to over 3,200 show wide. So thank you guys for showing up today. Obviously, I think everybody's kind of got ice in their veins, Sarah, with the OTAs getting started. Everybody's kind of feeling their oats right now, which is fantastic. And I will tell you that I just refreshed on the back end here. We have a few more minutes of the show, and we're coming up on that 350 Voltron milestone. We're at 317 right now. So I'll just throw that out there for you gift givers that might be feeling a certain type of way come the close of this Wednesday show. From a Buffalo perspective, though, Sarah, Ian Rappaport notes that Sean McDermott, their head coach, Bill's head coach, that is, told reporters recently that newly signed edge Joey Bosa. Sarah, boy, this is bringing me back to our conversations about this player and about this position back prior to free agency. But look at this, somebody that has literally had, it's almost chronic at this point. It's almost an annual tradition that Joey Bosa goes down this time of year, and he sure has with a calf. He pulled his calf, so he's more than likely going to be sidelined until training camp, which, okay, he's a vet. Maybe it's not the biggest of deals, but not exactly. They gave him a nice little bag, so not exactly a great start to that partnership. And then a bigger story, given the successful season that he had last year at the running back position, James Cook, who's seeking a new deal, is not present at the start of OTAs, and you have a little screenshot here from Instagram in the comment section.
Yeah, so he's sitting out. He's trying to get his money. He's trying to continue this running back trend of getting paid more. The only people who don't think he deserves it is the Buffalo Bills fans, because they were downplaying him the entire year to help get Josh Allen his MVP award. But James Cook responded to somebody in the comments he said $15 million per year. That's what he's looking for. That's what Derrick Henry just got. James Cook, obviously younger, probably not the future Hall of Famer that Derrick Henry is, but because he's younger and he is producing a lot, that does seem like, and Derrick Henry is, I think, the third highest paid running back, and he's asking to be right there with him. Feel like that's fair, but we'll see what the Bills want to do. And he is the only guy that's not there. And now that I'm very curious who's not at the Ravens OTAs. Is there, if you've got Lamar and Derrick Henry in there, who would dare miss right now? Who would dare miss?
Right.
So we'll probably get that report once the reporters are looking through all 90 players there at practice.
And finally, as M&T Bank Stadium continues to be enhanced, by Steve Bisciotti and his dollars, and this organization continues to pour into it. Phase 2 of M&T Bank Stadium renovations. Here are some renderings for you. Looks to be a nice little.
This is going to be called the Champions Club.
Okay.
Which will feature 2 bars celebrating each of the Ravens Super Bowl victories. So club membership you can get to it through a club membership. There's also a new place called the Trust. And the Trust is going to be, again, one of 3 new club memberships being offered to PSL owners. It's going to be located on the south side of M&T Bank Stadium, on the lower concourse that offers, they say, unique team access, including views of the Ravens player tunnel at the 50-yard line. So, if anybody gets injured right behind the bench, they go down at the 50-yard line. So that's what that will give a view to when they go in. And then there's also the Raven, again, one of those 3 new club memberships being offered to PSL owners. This is also going to be near the 50-yard line and underneath the lower level. And it's on the north side of the stadium, and it provides an elevated club experience. It says the space will feature thematic touches related to the team's namesake and the poem, The Raven. So those are just some of the renderings that I grabbed from the Baltimore Sun. And just one more. I think we've seen this one before, though. These are going to be the new video boards on the outside of the stadium, not on the inside, where it has these video displays. There are 216 feet. Or is it 6,500 square feet and more than 75 million pixels. So it's going to be out there by, is it the Johnny Unitas statue? So they'll have that up there. So all these upgrades, they want to make sure you keep coming to the game.
Yeah.
I'm not a stadium person myself. I don't like to go anymore. I'm too old and curmudgeonly to deal with traffic and whatnot. So.
The bank continues to expand. I saw on Marlon's Instagram story that similar renovations are being done to the castle as well on the back end of it out near the turf field. So they never, ever, never, ever are satisfied with some of their amenities and whatnot. So there you go. That's what you have to look forward to at the bank. And we have a few more super chats that have come in the last few minutes. Another one from Dre Dog 679, who's had a very generous week.
Seriously.
Vault. Dre writes, a lot of one-on-one coverage. Zay, Bait, Likely, D-Hop. Somebody's going to have to eat among those core 4. That's not even mentioning everybody else they have, including Andrews as well. Justice Hill is a pass-catching running back. Will Devontae take a step? Will Ajante get an opportunity outside of punt return work? Row Live checking in with a super chat.
He says, they really forced me to root for Aguilar for years. Yuck. So happy that's over. Let's go D-Hop.
No, he's a good dude. Not a fan says, I know. Oh boy, he's taking some shots here. I know Justin Tucker isn't at OTAs. Wait. My bad. He's no longer with the organization. Sod Blitz 34, channel member.
He says, Cook doesn't want money. He wants out. Who wants to play for a team that makes you give up 8 or 9 1-yard touchdowns just to pad the quarterback stats?
And another one from PHP, Park Heights Prophet, closing us down with the one that says these upgrades are hurting my section, 138 and 142. Row 1, end zone life. That gets me in all the videos and pictures, LOL. That's hilarious. Why are they hurting your sections? Because if he goes on to say that these renovations now get him in all the videos and pictures, isn't that a good thing? Or because he's never told us his first name, I think he's a very private person. So he may not like that he's going to be showing up in a lot of the team content. Am I picking up what he's putting down?
I have no idea.
Okay. Interesting. Sod Blitz 34, noting, this one's for you, as we shared. We think this was recently when we shared it on the show, right?
Yeah, that's the way people who had the pictures presented it, but you never know in this day and age. He says, seeing Tucker kicking at a local park was heartbreaking. He has as an emoji, heartbreaking.
And Heather McCubbins throws us a $2 super chat on the way out as well. We appreciate you, Heather. Thank you so much for being here. You ready for my one more thing?
I am ready for your one more thing.
I think everybody's going to get a good kick out of it. Let me get our patrons in here before we close. JFresh0824, Michael_D55. We appreciate you both for believing in what we're building. This is your monthly shout out because of the consistent support that you give us through Patreon. So thank you both. Patreon.com/RavensVault podcast if you want to learn more about what we're offering here inside the channel this month. Park Guy's Profit dropped in another one. This one's for you.
Kobe, by the way. We got to get Kobe in here. Park Guy said, no, I think they removed the front rows in that end zone sign. I used to love sitting there. Got some good visibility there. LOL. Yeah, I do think they did remove some rows because they were doing something new on the field. I think for some club seats.
My man's trolling us.
Those are some updates that we covered a couple months ago.
He's the mystery man, yet the guy loves getting a little bit of pub, getting a little visibility. I'm trying to understand PHP and his thinking here. It's interesting. I love him. He's like the most interesting man in the world. He's like the Dos Equis guy on the commercial.
Yeah.
He's the most interesting man in the world.
He's the most mysterious man in the chat because he's so generous and we have no clue who he is.
I know.
He's very supportive. I appreciate that.
We're going to keep digging too.
Yeah, I'm not digging. I like to I'm a private person, so I don't like people getting in my business. So I'm not going to dig.
Opposites.
Yeah.
Aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Take this one from Kobe since it's
I
for you.
shouldn't even call myself a private person. I'm private compared to you. I'm actually, semi-open. It's just compared to you, everybody's private.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, Kobe says, Sarah, how do I make my daughter a Ravens fan? I need more information on your daughter. Is this like a young lady growing up? Is it like a teenager or an adult who has a love for another team? Like, let me know.
Put her in a room with my co-host for 5 minutes. It's over. It's over. Thanks, Kobe. And thanks all of you. I mean, gosh, the audience is through the roof today. 3,400 plus now. Bunch of super chats. Some gift giving took place today. We're going to fall just short of 350 unless things change between now and the end of my one more thing, which I told you.
Hold that thought real quick. Let's finish up Kobe. His daughter's 2 years old. Kobe, to be honest with you, I don't even know how to help you because three of my 4 kids couldn't care less about football. Like they care for me. And so like my girls are super nice and like, so mom, how was your podcast today? But it's more like, how was your day? And then when Sundays come around, it's only my oldest that's really watching. I mean, what would I do without Gardner? Like he's obsessed. He is obsessed. The other 3 generally don't like watching sports at all. They love playing it, but they don't like watching. So I don't even know how to help you because I only converted one of my 4 kids. One. I've failed as a mother, clearly.
He's the man. Yeah. Guardy's the man. Maybe your other kids will be late bloomers.
Yeah. Oh boy, here comes a bunch of more super chats. We will get you one more thing at some point, Bobby.
Maybe they don't want to hear my jack today. Heather McCubbins showing us some love via the $2 super chat. Thank you, Heather. I have Horace Torres. I'll take this one. So Bobby, never say Bateman over D-Hop again, please. Torres has PTSD from the early years of Bateman's underperformance in Baltimore, or he's just getting after me. It could be a little bit of both. Torres, good to see you, brother. PHP, for good measure, Sarah. Another one.
He says, I am a mystery wrapped up in a riddle shrouded in an... Let me try this again. I've got all these is it Novocaine that they give you these days? Whatever numbing agent is. And then I got to read this. I am a mystery wrapped in a riddle shrouded in an enigma. I do enjoy seeing myself on TV, at least for games. All of my other TV appearances are so serious with the zipped lips emoji.
Look,
that just made it even more curious.
I love
What other television appearances is he on?
I love the concept of an enigma. I am highly invested in figuring out who is on the other end of this consistent generosity. PHP, you are the man. We will find out who you are.
Like, what is he on TV for? And he's serious? Some people are wondering if he's a reporter. I don't think that's it. Like a reporter. You tell me if I'm wrong. Because he's so generous, I feel like he has more than a reporter's salary.
In today's day and age, it's tough living if you're in reporting.
Reporters don't make a lot unless you're national on got your own show type thing.
In a market like Baltimore, it's tough. It's tough. It's very much one of those markets where you stay for a few years and you try to vault it into your next gig. But my guess would be that he's talking about fan appearances on those local TV. That would be my guess based on the fandom. He clearly has fandom for the team.
Right.
And so my guess would be that he's talking about, almost like a Trippy. Trippy always takes the opportunity to call into local radio shows, to get on WJZ, right? Wherever he sees fit, he finds those opportunities. That would be my guess, but maybe I'm wrong, PHP, and you can expand on that if you'd like. Richard, introducer, speaking directly to Kobe, Speaking directly to Kobe, Francis is still not over, by the way. The plague is still here. It's all your fault. Richard says, introduce her to Edgar Allan Poe, speaking directly to Kobe's daughter.
I will say, because I was in Baltimore, I took my oldest son the most to work. I got to take him to work a lot, and he met a lot of the players. So, yeah, I think events definitely help in clothing and all of that. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. This is crazy. Sarah, people don't want to hear one more thing today, which is fine. Hey, keep it coming. Heather McCubbin shows us some love. We are now up to, let's see, 370. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I skipped over King Lee. So King Lee and Heather McCubbins have just each gifted a channel membership. That now brings us to 319. We have 319 Voltrons, official channel members. Thank you to Heather. Thank you to King Lee. And Sarah, back with Kobe.
You said I started by making her favorite color purple. Good.
Hey, that's a good start.
Now, yeah.
Not a fan, says Bobby's mustache has a unique set of skills and will find you, Archives Prophet. Not to be creepy, but I will find you, PHP.
Yeah, he says with his creepy mustache.
You're the man, PHP. We will respect your privacy inside these walls. Once the show's over, though, anything goes. Sod Blitz 34.
Sorry, I was looking at a Dre Dog one on the side. What is going on here? Is he showing? So he's got an old person emoji with a bubbly bath / shower.
He's got, look, he's essentially calling DeAndre a grandpa.
Right.
I don't know why the grandpa is bathing in this super
chat.
I
don't understand the bathing part. If he just put the emoji, I would get that because it's the gray-haired person. But you're going to have to explain, Sod Blitz, the bubbly bath. And he says, old D-Hop is still greater than Nelly.
But Trace BN's got us. It's old and washed up.
Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Old washed up D-Hop is greater than Nelly.
Thank you, Trace, as we tripped all over the screen.
We don't have a chance of figuring out who PHP is that we couldn't decipher those emojis.
That was tough. That was a tough one. D-Rod has a theory.
Like all the chat knows. All the chat knows.
I swear that some people enjoy the struggle, right? They watch us and struggle. They enjoy our struggle trying to decipher hieroglyphics.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. D-Rod has a theory. PHP is Bruce Wayne in his mind. LOL. Purple and black.
Ravens posting like crazy. I'm ready to go. Yeah, I mean, it's just good vibes in the air right now with everybody back. It's the first day of school vibes. Let's go.
Trey Dog 679 has a theory that PHP is Brandon Scott. He's from Park Heights. He's a Baltimore native. He's the current mayor of Baltimore City. And PHP tells me that if I make the trip like I would like to for the rematch, week 1, regular season opener, that I will find him in Buffalo, Bobby.
Okay,
Yeah.
see, here's what's interesting is PHB's going against what I wanted, is I wanted people to convince you not to go just because I don't want you to get sick again. And it's a night game. You're just going to lose sleep. And when you lose sleep, that's when you get sick. And I know you won't do this. You won't sleep enough beforehand because your adrenaline will be going. And then the next day you want to be a part of the show. And then before you know it, you'll have gone 4 days with no sleep and you get sick again. However, if a trip to Buffalo at least helps us, solve this mystery,
then you can be
something
convinced.
good could come out of it. Yeah.
Then you could be convinced. You're really on to me about my habits. You've
worked with each other for almost 3 years. 3 years in August.
Yeah. And you're right, by the way. I pushed myself to, what did Kobe say in one of his iconic post-game interviews after they lost in the finals? He said something like, I'll push myself to exhaustion.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The irony is that you want it. You are pushing yourself. What's the right to be hardworking, right? Like you don't want to miss out on a thing. And in the long run, because you do that, you end up missing more.
A lot.
And so to have that reputation of being an Iron Man, you've got to sleep.
Yeah. No, I got to fix something because, twice in 6 months being down for essentially 10 days, 2 weeks. While I didn't miss that this time around.
Yeah.
I am still hacking up a lung.
Yeah.
So.
And I do remember the last time we had this conversation, you were like, remember I was sick for those couple of days? Remember how I was sick? But it wasn't to the point where I was congested and all that, but I was feeling under the weather. But like, even when you get sick, if you're sleeping and taking vitamins and everything else, then the sickness doesn't last as long.
I think an area that I would like to, before I make major life adjustments in season, I would love to start taking daily vitamins like zinc and other like vitamin C and other things to see if I can still go at the rate that I do. But
well, no, you can't. Your body needs sleep. Now, everybody's body needs a different amount. Like my husband sleeps a different amount. So you have to find, for me, it's got to be 7 to 8 hours. And I can go maybe 1 or 2 days for 6, but if I go 3 days, then I'm going to get sick. But just start with Bobby, I'm telling you, a great place to start. Just your over-the-counter, they call it the 1-a-days, right? The 1-a-day has a little bit of all vitamins. And then you could probably go get a blood workup and see which ones you need more of and what you're deficient in. And that's what I do. So I have the 1-a-day for women's, but I know I'm more deficient in vitamin D. And so I've supplemented that and like a few other little ones. But like you find out, what's good for you. But an easy start is just go get the 1-a-day vitamins.
Okay. All right.
And I'm not a doctor, so I should shut up. But
No.
Go get a workup and go talk to your doctor. But that's how I started.
Clearly something's got to change because we have a lot to accomplish. And I don't want to be down once every 6 months with something that is so debilitating that I can't even participate in anything we do. Terrible feeling. So thank you for that. Draydog679 says, hopefully the climate may play a part in
Seriously,
this.
we're both in jackets.
Well, no, the climate of where I'm headed September 1st.
My bad.
Hopefully the St. Pete climate can help a little bit as well. But yes, it's actually, no, it's beautiful here in upstate New York today.
It's cold here.
Yeah, I bet because I'm pretty sure it's dreary and raining, as I asked Alexa this morning in Baltimore.
Yeah, it is.
Draydog679 says, Bobby, get with me. I'll build you an immunity kit.
Ooh.
He's always offering, man. He's always offering. And Heather is taking a page out of your playbook here with some advice.
Says Draydog talks some sense into Bobby. He is hard-headed.
And Gemini says Cornstar Bobby. Oh, amazing. You ready for my one more thing?
I've been ready. Super chats haven't been ready.
I told you in our pre-show that this was going to be indirectly about me, and here's what I meant by that. This is about my cousin who's in his early 30s, recently single. I will be
recently single. Okay.
He will be my wingman. This is how it all comes into play here. He will be my wingman and vice versa. He's the one that's living in St. Pete. This is my second cousin. We've grown very close. I stayed with him one of the 3 weeks that I did March remotely, virtually down in Florida. He texts me this morning, very early, and says, this is an absolutely legendary random text to receive from my old boss at 3 a.m. So it's his former boss.
Oh, his former boss. Okay.
At 3 a.m.
Okay.
Who, in his words, sent him a legendary but random text. Okay. Key point here. Connor is recently single, early 30s. Here we go. 3:05 a.m. It's unclear where the boss lives. Don't know. Connor, totally random and unique opportunity. Longtime family friend from my karting world. Not sure what that.
What is a karting world?
That must be an industry. From my karting world, has a daughter who is, what's that?
I said go-karts?
Go-karts. Longtime family friend from my karting world has a daughter who is 38 and is doing a cruise in a few weeks. Her friend.
Wait, how old is your cousin?
32.
Okay, go ahead.
Her friend who was going with her has a conflict now and can't make it. The trip is 100% paid for. Here are the details. June 9th to the 14th. Jamaica, Grand Cayman Islands, so on and so forth. They came to me to ask if I knew of anyone that could go, as they prefer her not going alone due to international travel and her being a attractive single blonde lady. The ultimate blind date connections, LOL. I'll attach a picture from Facebook below. Absolutely no pressure, but you are the one person I thought of. I've known so-and-so since she was born, but haven't been around her in a couple decades. Her mom and dad are divorced, but have always been wonderful people. And like I said, longtime family friends. Not sure if you being a guy.
Put in there that the mom and dad is divorced.
Right?
What does that got to do? Okay, go ahead.
It's almost like trying to reassure them. They're good people. Don't worry.
Giving like a life story. Okay, go ahead.
Not sure if you being a guy would work, but figured I'd ask. If interested, maybe you and so talk and check it out. I wouldn't tee this up to you unless I thought it would be a positive life experience. Give it some thought. If interested, I'd be glad to connect you. Love you, buddy. She's a dog lover and lives in, I won't mention the town in Florida.
Yeah.
Single, I assume, of course. LOL. So that's the text. Okay. I write back. Yeah, that's one of the single most electric messages one can receive from a former boss. And then I quoted, single, I assume, of course, with like a bunch of rolling on the floor laughing.
That is hilarious. Like, why wouldn't you like verify that before you text?
Correct. He goes, I just talked to my current boss, and he laughed and goes, quote, send it. Meaning June 9th through the 14th, Connor is officially available according to his boss. So I wrote back. I said, wait, so this is your current boss, just to be clear, because he actually didn't write current in the initial text.
Right.
He goes, yes, the current one. I go, hell of a cosign.
Right.
So anyway, long story short, I finally asked, I said, are you going to inquire? And he goes, let's see. My former boss is talking to her father today, meaning this girl. I told him I'm all in if she's good with it.
Oh my gosh.
So why do I share this story? Because it is kind of indirect, right? When it comes to me. And one more thing for me.
Yeah.
It's that I'm going down to a place that I think is vibrant, that I think is going to provide a change of scenery, that I think could be a good situation for me, that I have family around, but maybe most importantly, have an open-minded family member who's become a friend. Now, granted, for all I know, he might be engaged by the time I get down there, Sarah, if this ends up working out in the freaking cruise. But I just love that mindset of like, yeah, I'm going to go do something that's completely unorthodox, completely out of this world, very uncommon, little risky, but I'm down to do it.
Little risky.
I'm 32 and single. Kind of love it.
Okay.
Connor, salute.
I have so many questions because, first of all, why did this come at 3:05 a.m.? I do not know. But I'm glad that they've had follow-up text to know that if somebody was like drunk or something, they're now sober and they've talked to the father and this and that. So, okay, that helps. But if I'm this 38-year-old woman and it's her friend that can't go, right? The most perplexing thing to me is if I had an all paid for, this sounds like, is it a cruise? If I had an all paid for cruise, I'd have a gazillion people who I know who I'd take with me. So it's odd to me that a former boss has to reach out to him to get it filled. So that's already odd to me. Why wasn't there like 100 people in line for an all expenses paid in the middle of June? Some people might have to work, but a lot of people like Connor would be like, the boss would be like, go get your free vacation, right? Like, this is insane to me. Then on top of it, and this is just me, and I know it's not you. I think you would go, right? If you got that text, you would go?
I'm going to be honest.
Okay.
Based on the attached photos that I obviously won't be sharing, it didn't move the needle for me, attractiveness-wise.
So you wouldn't go because of the photos. Okay.
I hate to I hope that doesn't come across as like rude or close-minded.
Right.
But I just, unfortunately, I don't know.
Okay, that's okay. Okay, say like she was attractive. Would you go? If you felt she was attractive, she might be attracted to Connor or to a bunch of other people. But if she were attractive to you, would you go?
If she was attractive, I would call my former boss and say, "Can you tell me more about her?" And if he gave a review, and I like my former boss, I have no idea if Connor does, then it would be a yes.
Okay. There is no way in Hades would I go on a blind date. A blind date, and I don't care how attractive you are. There's no way in Hades I'm doing a blind date cruise with you for days. What if you hate each other? And where's the sleeping arrangements?
I had to mute myself because that was funny. What
is the sleeping arrangements with these strangers? Is there separate rooms? Could you imagine being a cruise, like those small cruise ship rooms? Like what? There's no way I would go. There's no way. I wouldn't be offering it to a stranger, and I wouldn't accept it as a stranger. There's no way. What if Connor, he's your cousin, so I trust you that he's not. But what if one of these two people are just straight up crazy, and you're stuck on a boat with them in the same room? Assuming it's the same room.
There are a lot of questions.
I'm astonished right now.
There are a lot of questions that need to be answered. My hope is that he goes and figures them out, the answers to these questions.
Yeah.
The type of guy that he is, I expect him to. We'll have to see. We'll have to get him on the show if he ends up doing it. I
definitely want to bring him on the show after this is over.
One more thing.
Whether it goes bad or whether it goes well, I need to know. This would be extreme entertainment for sure if he's willing. Okay.
I'm catching some flack for my comments. What else do you want me to say? You want me to lie? I mean,
see, I don't understand that. Why can't people be attracted to other people or not attracted? It's okay.
What do you guys want me to say? I mean, I just not. To me, is that the number one priority for me? No, but it's up there. I mean, we got to spend the rest of your life with this person. So
I think it's okay to not be attracted to people. I think that's okay.
And that can be like, why can't that be a reason, you know?
Right.
Here's the okay.
Especially knowing that you're going to be on a boat for however long, a cruise ship together.
Well, what about this element of it? People want another one. I'll give you another one. I don't want to marry somebody who's 38 when I'm 30.
That's also fair. I feel like.
Now,
if you had gotten to know her and you guys were friends and you fell in love, I'm sure you would do it. But like, it's not.
And if I was on a cruise ship and I met her at the bar or around the ship and she was 38, and I was like, wow, I didn't even have a chance to see like it was on an app that her age was that, and we hit it off, then I would probably look the other way.
Yeah.
So Dre Dog is getting after me. He says, I've been trying to help Bobby. He won't take heed.
That was back from the sickness discussion. That's when that one came in.
Okay.
Yeah. It's not about this.
And not a fan is with you.
Yeah, he says, imagine getting catfished and sharing a cruise room for 5 days.
This is
now again, I don't think catfish would. I think that you could work around the catfish, knowing that an old boss knows the person, so they're confirming that this is indeed who she says she is, and this is indeed her picture. You know,
this is hysterical.
So,
Bond.
I can't believe we have 3,600 people here listening to this story.
It's just yet another reason why this whole new playlist could be coming soon. Who knows? But Bond 3Z187 says Bobby's feeling jelly. You're darn right. I want that to be me.
Yeah.
I want to get a text like that from my former boss for sure.
Yeah.
Because you already know, Sarah, that is something that not only would I do it, but I would overshare the living you know what about the entire experience to every single one of you guys. You would know every detail, maybe not every detail, but most details from the experience.
Probably more details than I would ever want.
Probably. Definitely. So that's my one more thing, Sarah, which has inspired a live chat chaos.
Okay, well, I've got one more thing that includes a question, but we do need to wrap up because I know we need to get this show to be posted. You know my one more thing, and I gave you an assignment. I bet you didn't do it.
I have it downloaded. I never actually went ahead and got you the number that you need or the grade that you need.
Okay, well, my question comes to those who may know about this app and how accurate it is, or do these apps purposely flatter you? Okay. So I was hanging out with some of my friends that we do high fitness with. And if you've been a listener of the show, you know about high fitness and you know about Bobby's experience coming to the All Moms High Fitness class when we did the summit in April. So anyway, one person, and I don't have a Garmin watch. Okay. So one person, they were all at my house Monday night. And she was telling us how her Garmin watch tells her her fitness age. Okay. Now her age is actually 30 and she's been through some pretty crazy life stuff. Okay. You did download it.
It's loading.
Okay. Oh, okay. Good. We're about to find out.
Okay.
So anyway, she's 30 and her Garmin watch tells her her fitness age is 29 and a half, which she's proud of because she's working back from some crazy life stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's just amazing what she has come back from. Talk about redemption. Okay. She's like a big inspiration. So anyway, she's 30. Garmin says she's 29 and a half. And so we're like, ooh, the rest of us were kind of Apple Watch users. And we're like Googling, does Apple Watch do this? Da, 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 da. If it can, we didn't find it. So my friend Natalie, who teaches the high fitness class, who you now know, she's like, oh, well, there's this app in the App Store that will use your Apple Watch data and give you your fitness age. So I'm like, okay. So we download it and we all get our fitness ages. So I just want to know if people is this really super accurate? Because I'm guessing it's using my heart rate, definitely using my VO2 max, and it's using my current age and probably some other things. So I am 45 years old and the fitness age it's giving me is 34 years old. So 11 years younger. Am I being flattered by an app to tell everybody else about it? And then they get on and then maybe they're flattered and they keep going on. Or is this thing accurate? Does anybody know? Where's Dre Dog? I feel like he knows everything.
Well, first of all, I think two things could be true. Having worked out with you, you're in incredible shape, first and all. But then I could also see a world where these apps sort of have these built-in little algorithms and wrinkles so that it continues to grow, to your point.
Yeah. Well, and to give more context, my friend Natalie, who really is the most in shape, she just doesn't even break a sweat. It's like, how do you do this? By the end of our workouts, my face is bright red. My whole tank top is drenched in sweat.
Yeah.
And I'm got my hands on my knees, or on my hips, the classic signs of fatigue. And she's just good to go. She's fine.
Sure.
Anyways, her real age is 30. I think she's 35 or 36. The fitness app gave her a fitness age of 17. I kind of believe it for her, though, to be honest.
I do too. She is, again, we've already discussed this, so this isn't breaking news, but when I walked into the gymnasium where we were going to do high fitness, she was the first person that I locked eyes with. And I was like, all right, I think all these women in here are married, but if she's not, Sarah needs to set me up now because this girl's like a carbon copy of what most people are looking for.
Yeah.
And she's happily married, has a couple of kids, and a very nice person and all those things. But, the type of person that, like you said, is in the middle of a high intensity workout and it literally looks like she's picking flowers somewhere out in the garden.
Yeah.
And it's I'm like, and meanwhile, she's facing us, right? So she's seeing all of our movements,
right,
all of our body language, and you and I are kind of like drenched in sweat. And she's probably looking at me like, wow, he's really struggling over there.
The only thing you were struggling with was like getting the choreography, which everybody does the first time they're there. Yeah.
Yeah. Conditioning wise, it was pretty good, but
yeah.
I don't know what's going on here, partner. Things are loading.
It's not working
here's
for
the
you.
problem, though.
Would you wear an Apple Watch? I don't know if it has the health. Maybe it's not going to work for you.
That's the issue. I don't have Garmin and I don't have a health watch.
Okay.
But I did have an incredible workout this morning at Metabolic Meltdown here in upstate New York.
Okay.
So yeah.
And you don't wear any watches for that?
No.
See, that drives me nuts. I want to track it.
Never been for whatever reason.
Even if somebody gave you an Apple Watch, would you wear it? Or a Garmin?
No, I've never been a watch guy.
Trevor hates watches, my husband. Like I remember I bought him one when we were dating and he never wore it. And he was like years later, he admitted it was because he just doesn't like watches. And I was like, oh, I could have saved some money.
Right. I have no reason to tell you why I don't wear watches. I have been gifted them in the past. I have worn them out to nice evenings.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest with you, if I was gifted a really nice one, I'd probably get in the habit of wearing it. I don't know about it on a consistent basis. But
do you lose your phone a lot?
No, never.
Oh, okay. Well, then probably one of the biggest things I use my watch for is to like ping my phone. I'm like, where did I put my phone?
Yeah. Oh, okay. I got you. What
it's like, where did I place it? And
what I do is when the phone's over here and I need what time it is, I'll just go like that, ping it.
Yeah.
Just for it to pop on. Okay. It's 1:49, which is very late.
We gotta go.
Black, it says what we're thinking. It is absolutely overtime right now, triple overtime for that matter. What an unbelievable game last night, by the way. This Eastern Conference final is exceptional in Indianapolis. But Dre Dog 679 gets us out of here as well. Working out healthy has been proven to de-age. He's on top of it, Sarah. I get the sense that Dre Dog's nutrition is next level. Just his overall life process, very regimented, very thoughtful, very calculated, methodical. Love it. All right, partner, let's jump.
Okay. Let's do.
Press conferences 40 minutes from now. You and I will react to that coming up tomorrow and incorporate it accordingly into the show. Thank you so much, guys. What an awesome, not only 45 super chats, whether they were actually chats or gift givings or whatever. We have 45 of those sitting in there right now. We've got over 3,600 concurrents at this current moment as we get ready to get out of here. So thank you so much for a fantastically viewed and overall performance on this Wednesday. For Sarah Ellison, I'm Bobby Trossett signing off. We will catch up with you in under 23 hours from right now for a Thursday Ravens Lunch Hour live stream. And if you could on the way out, we'd appreciate it. If you'd like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell. You can email us, as always, at BaltimoreRavensVault@gmail.com. And just know, we're working diligently in the background to roll out our Vault merch line at some point. Our apparel line still in the works here. We're still working closely.
We just signed the contract yesterday.
We did. We signed the contract. We've been working closely with our girl Carly on the design side of things, and we look forward to sharing more when we have it with you. So with that, we'll catch up with you Thursday, if not before. And as always, thanks for spending some time with us here inside the Vault. We'll catch up with you soon.